Once again, I'm Rabbi Hannah Leslie Glazer, the rabbi at Adat Re'im. I am really grateful for the community that we have gathered tonight. I really like the rare occasions when we get both of our musical groups together, because it is one of those moments where more of us come together as a community. Our synagogue is very smart, I think, to have different spiritual offerings over the course of the year and the month. And that's great because it helps everyone find a spiritual home and something they can really connect with. And I also like it when more of us come together, like tonight. So last week we were inaugurating, installing our new board of directors here at the synagogue. And that was not the moment to be talking about the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Tonight, I want to offer some reflections about what happened and where this all leaves us. First of all, I'm doing this because I feel like we can't simply put this thing behind us and move on and inaugurate our next president. The details are still coming out, but what does seem clear to me is that this attack was more violent than was originally thought, as well as more coordinated, more enabled, more foreseeable ahead of time. For those in this community who have worked dutifully and faithfully in government positions, for those members of our community who have taken oaths of office and kept them, or for those people who love those people or who have worked with those people over the years. What happened on January 6th in the Capitol was a violation of that duty and that faith, a desecration of the values that our country stands for and the norms that guide our political and social fabrics. And I believe these things must be said. Another piece that has become clear to me this week: the January 6th attack on the Capitol was deeply rooted and driven by virulent white Christian nationalism and bitter anti-Semitism. From some of the reports that I have seen, the anti-Jewish hatred underpinning and fueling this attack went way further and way deeper than a few words embossed on a hoodie or a t-shirt. And I say this even though there was at least one Jewish man among those people who broke into the Capitol on January 6th, the fellow in the fur pelts. And there was at least one other Jewish supporter of the violence who tried to get there and couldn't. I don't know about you, but for me, the details as they have been released over the course of the week have been confusing, challenging, painful, and some of it also triggering. I've been doing a lot of breathing this week and meditating. We led the meditation this week specifically about getting a chance to breathe. And maybe you feel the same way. If you do, it's okay to name that. Maybe you've been trying to forget it. I'm not going to forget it tonight. Sometimes Shabbat is to rest, and sometimes it is to reflect, and sometimes it is to face truth. Because, folks, whatever side of the political aisle you may find yourself on, it is clear that something was wrong and something is wrong. And to put it in the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he said, something is fundamentally and basically wrong in our world. Now, King uttered those words to open a sermon that he gave at the Second Baptist Church, a historically African-American church in Detroit in February 1954. Now, 1954 was quite early on in the period that we today call the civil rights movement. It was still months, for example, before the Supreme Court declared racial segregation was unconstitutional. It was years before the Montgomery bus boycott or the Freedom Rides. and it was a full decade before the passage of the Civil Rights Act that granted voting rights to African Americans, among other things. It was still early days in 1954, and many people were still very unaware of the struggles of African Americans in our country, or perhaps they saw certain things but chose to look away, or perhaps they were afraid to ask questions that would be seen as challenging power, that would be seen as disturbing of the peace. I thought I would read to you what Dr. King said to that African American church that Sunday, because of the special resonance I feel his words carry for us this week. This week, when Christian white supremacy briefly took over our US Capitol. This week, when a group of our own citizens took coordinated violent action against the US government. Here are the words of Dr. King. There is something wrong with our world, something fundamentally and basically wrong. We begin to wonder if it is due to the fact that we don't know enough. But it can't be that. Because in terms of accumulated knowledge, we know more today than men have known in any period of human history. We have the facts at our disposal. We know more about mathematics, about science, about social science, philosophy, than we've ever known in any period of the world's history. So it can't be because we don't know enough. I think we have to look much deeper than that if we are to find the real cause of man's problems and the real cause of the world's ills today. If we are to really find it, I think we will have to look in the hearts and souls of men. The great problem facing modern man is that the means by which we live have outdistanced the spiritual ends for which we live. I'll repeat that. The means by which we live have outdistanced the spiritual ends for which we live. So we find ourselves caught in a messed up world. The problem is with man himself and man's soul. We haven't learned how to be just and honest and kind and true and loving. And that is the basis of our problem. The real problem is that through our scientific genius, we've made of the world a neighborhood, but through our moral and spiritual genius, we've failed to make it a brotherhood. And then Dr. King continues, if we are to go forward today, we've got to go back and rediscover some mighty precious values that we've left behind. The first principle of value that we need to rediscover is this, that all reality hinges on moral foundations. In other words, that this is a moral universe, and that there are moral laws of the universe just as abiding as the physical laws. We have adopted in the modern world a sort of relativistic ethic. Now, I'm not going to try to use a big word here. I'm trying to say something very concrete, and that is that we have accepted the attitude that right and wrong are merely relative. Most people can't stand up for their convictions because the majority of other people might not be doing it. I'm here to say to you this morning that some things are right and some things are wrong. Eternally so, absolutely so. It's wrong to hate. It has always been wrong, and it will always be wrong. It's wrong in America. It's wrong in Germany. It's wrong in Russia. It's wrong in China. It was wrong in 2000 BC, and it's wrong in 1954 AD. It has always been wrong, and it will always be wrong. It's wrong to throw our lives away in riotous living. And so long as we adopt this relative attitude toward right and wrong, we're revolting against the very laws of God Himself. My friends, that attitude is destroying the soul of our culture. It's destroying our nation. The thing that we need in the world today is a group of men, and he also says women, by the way, here, who will stand up for right and to be opposed to wrong, wherever it is. A group of people who have come to see that some things are wrong, whether they're never caught up with, and some things are right, whether nobody sees you doing them or not. This universe hinges on moral foundations. No lie can live forever. And the truth, crushed to earth, will rise again. And Dr. King ended his sermon by reminding everyone there about faith. And he said, go out and be assured that God is going to last forever. Storms might come and go. Our great skyscraper buildings will come and they will go. Our beautiful automobiles will come and go, but God will be here. Plants may wither, the flowers may fade away, but the word of our God shall stand forever, and nothing can ever stop Him. All of the P-38s in the world can never reach God. All of our atomic bombs can never reach Him. The God that I'm talking about this morning is the God of the universe and the God that will last through the ages. If we are to go forward this morning, we've got to go back and find that God. That is the God that demands and commands our ultimate allegiance. If we are to go forward, we must go back and rediscover these precious values. And remember that all reality hinges on moral foundations, and all reality has spiritual control. God bless you. Friends, let us remember these words, spoken more than half a century ago, but still so resonant today. Let us rediscover our lost values. Let us remember the power of truth, of decency, and dignity of all souls in our neighborhoods, our schools, our state, our country. May it be so. Thank you, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom.